I'm Davy, and I'm awesome! And welcome to Davy's Awesome Movies, where I review the style of movies that I love, the alternative, B-rated, cult-style flicks. And this week, it's time for the fourth installment of the American Ninja movies. This movie was made in 1990, and was directed by Cedric Sunstorm, the guy who directed the third one. And it was produced by Avi Lerner and Christopher Pierce, as well as Ovidio G. Assonanites, and written by David Jeeves. And it was distributed by Canon Pictures, MGM UA Home Video, as well as Warner Home Video. Ladies and gentlemen, American Ninja 4, The Annihilation. Why do these graphics look like they're more from a surfer movie than a martial arts film? The movie opens with a Delta Force team running from some ninjas and being killed along the way. And they're captured. And then we see Sean Davidson, the hero from the third movie, played by David Radley, and his new partner, Carl Braxton. Not Jackson.
You got the ring? What ring?
And Sean is at Carl's wedding. He's his best man. Sean gets a call.
And forsaking all other, keep the only other.
We're standing at the altar.
Sean's career has transitioned from martial arts competitor to CIA agent, all within the span of 1 year. Sure, but Sean has been told that this is a red alert, so even though they're in the middle of a wedding, they have to leave now.
I know you don't mean it, honey. I love you. Bye.
You are so divorced! Being briefed, Braxton tells them all about Sergeant Mulgrew, an ex-British officer who was jailed for his killing and torture treatments of ex-prisoners, and how now he hates the British.
But most of all, he hates Americans.
Well then get him for America!
Now, we know for months that Mulgrew has been helping Sheikh Ali Maksu.
So now we know who the bad guys are. And the CIA have learned that these two have a device.
A nuclear device small enough to fit into a suitcase to carry into New York.
Okay, I gotta ask. In these movies, they always want to blow up New York. Does the rest of the world think that we don't have any other major city in this country other than New York? I mean, don't get me wrong, I prefer you don't try to blow up any of them, but we have more than one. So Sean and Carl are sent in to save some soldiers that were left behind. And when they get to the jungle, they will meet their operative there. But Sean doesn't want to take Carl. Carl's still kind of new and he's a rookie. So Sean has a suggestion.
What about Joe Armstrong?
Yeah! Although, I will say this. You know what would be better than Joe Armstrong? I don't know, just spitballing here. Jackson! But that's not going to happen. Jackson's not in this movie. And as far as Joe Armstrong, there is a problem.
Joe's with the Peace Corps. His head is full of peace, love, and light.
Oh God, he's not a vegan, is he? Carl and Sean get to the jungle and they meet their contact.
Hi, I'm Pongo.
Because it always has to be that. It can never be like a fully grown male or female soldier, like somebody who looks like they can fight. No, it has to always be a child or a fragile-looking woman who looks like she would strain to lift an iPod. Pongo takes them to a bar and, well, they never tell us where this is supposed to be, so from the looks of it, like, somewhere in Africa. And the bartender doesn't think the two of them look like much, so he tells them to throw them out. That didn't look like enough force to do that. And Sean fights more. And some more. Is that it?
My apologies, gentlemen. I had to make sure you're the right people. Come with me.
The bartender's the operative. As they're going through the layout of Mulgrew's headquarters, Mulgrew and his men show up. So Sean and Carl hide. As far as the bartender, that was a nice hat. So Mulgrew asks Pongo.
They're in the closet!
Yeah! They escape. Really? Then we meet Sarah,
Hi, Pongo. What's wrong?
Mulgrew's men are after us.
played by Robin Still, mostly known for her part in Slumber Party Massacre. She works at a mortuary and has them hide by pretending to be dead bodies. But after the men leave, they have to take her with them now because she's in danger, so they take her as far as a place called Sulphur Springs. By the way, the poster has Michael Dudikoff on it, and they've mentioned Joe Armstrong, yet 25 minutes into this movie and... As Sean, Carl, Pongo, and Sarah are walking through the forest, some ninjas show up. But Sean's got this. Apparently in the UK version, they had to cut out all the nunchuck fighting, because that's oddly where they drew the line. Carl tries to help. Oh, bullshit. They're captured and taken to the headquarters. And it wouldn't be an American Ninja movie without some colorful ninjas. And a super ninja. That is his name. And funny enough, the actor who plays the super ninja is also the first Delta Force guy in the movie that got killed. Mulgrew and Maxud bring in the Americans. But Sean ain't done. But eventually, they take them all down to their basement and try to get information. And then finally, 45 minutes into this movie,
Morning.
we see Joe Armstrong, and he's teaching a class in the Peace Corps. But in the middle of his teaching, the CIA man comes out.
I told you last time it was the last time.
But he tells him that his friend Sean, who is his friend and knows him all of a sudden, is in trouble. That he's been captured, and...
We need you, Joe.
So Joe feels he has no choice but to make some tea and think about this. Joe decides to go and meets Pongo.
Joe Armstrong?
As they're driving to Sulphur Springs. And this makes no sense, because at this point they're literally in the middle of nowhere. There was nowhere for that ninja to jump from to jump onto the car. But let's not argue about realism right now. Joe has to get out and fight him. After this, they finally reach Sulphur Springs.
What do you want?
Guy named Tamba.
And meet the extras from the Mad Max movies. And they make Joe fight. And of course he wins, so...
Welcome to Sulphur Springs.
So now we meet...
I'm Dr. Tamba.
Joe Armstrong.
And they make a plan to go rescue the hostages. But first they gotta get into a federal building and capture the blueprints to Mulgrew's headquarters. And to do this, Joe has to dress up as a priest. I'm a comedian and everything, but this one's just too easy. I wouldn't feel good with myself. You guys can take this joke. The American ambassador is meeting with Mulgrew and Maxud. And he tells them if one of those Americans are harmed,
and I will personally see that this place is disintegrated.
Then New York will quickly follow suit.
fair trade. Joe steals the blueprints of Mulgrew's fortress and finds that there is a way to get up, but it's through a cliff.
They didn't think anyone would be crazy enough to try and climb up there.
Joe is, but first, he's got to sharpen his sword. And he'll have help.
We must fight for our freedom!
Wallace! Wallace! Oh, wrong movie.
We must finally rid ourselves of the powers of darkness!
Are they going after a British general and a sheik, or Skeletor and Darth Vader? Mulgrew goes and warns Maxud.
You are early, Scott.
Something's up.
That ninja costume behind him screams authenticity. They get ready for the executions.
A bad feeling about this, Sean.
It's not over yet.
Yes, because Joe Armstrong is coming! Although, just saying, Jackson would have already been there. Oh, and the Sulphur Springs guys are coming too. Why do they have a laundry chute on the front of their truck? Joe gets up the cliff and meets a few ninjas. So much for the high ground, Obi-Wan. Now Joe is in a tight space. Joe is almost there when... Oh, you think that's cool? Yeah! Joe finally finds Sean. Who's lost it and suddenly dressed like a ninja. You were supposed to save him! Oh, it's not Sean. Joe has an idea. And they start the executions. No! No! Oh! So now Joe acts. Okay, maybe you should have done that before the first guy burned to death. First, he gets Sean loose. As Sean is freeing the others, this is when Arnold would look into the camera and say, "Don't get heated." Now it's time for Super Ninja to get involved.
Kill the infidel. Hayaku!
Bless you. But reinforcements show. Wow, how did you ever best that ninja? Everybody fights! It was good, but he's still no Curtis Jackson. Maxo tries to escape from a helicopter and... Yeah! That'll do, kid. Mulgrew takes Sarah, and Sean goes after him, leaving Joe to face off with Super Ninja. Hey, look, I got fingers. Oh, me too. Over to Sean. Back to Joe. Back to Sean. And Joe. Finish him. Yeah! I feel at this moment Jackson would have looked down at him and went, "Blow up!" Now evil's punished. So Joe and Sean finally have their moment together.
Sean, you can find me at the school.
Yeah, that's really it. So there you have it. That's American Ninja 4, The Annihilation. As far as ranking it, I wouldn't say it's better than the first two. I honestly wouldn't even say it's better than the third one. I'd say it's actually worse because, sorry, yes, my opinion is Curtis Jackson should have been in this movie. Like, he was the staple in the first three movies. They didn't have Michael Dudikoff in all three of the first movies, but they did have Jackson. And Jackson was the most entertaining thing in all three of those movies. Yet, for some reason, they left him out of this one. Now, they made an American Ninja 5, and he wasn't in that one, and that one is easily explained. By that point in time, Steve James, the guy who played Curtis Jackson, sadly had passed away. But in this movie, he was still alive. He had made movies that year, so there was no reason he shouldn't have been in this movie. What, you felt like you had David Bradley and Michael Dudikoff, you couldn't fit in Steve James? Oh yeah, too much name recognition. Especially in the 90s. Nobody would have told you who those guys were. Unless you were like a really big nerd. Like me and my brother. And ultimately, I will say the movie was okay. It's worth watching. Like me, if you're a fan of the American Ninja movies, then you kind of need to see it. Just because, well, you gotta see them all. But the storyline was kind of forced. There were things that didn't make sense. Like, sorry, but you don't go from being a martial arts tournament competitor to being a CIA agent in a year. That just doesn't happen. They just out of nowhere threw it in there that Sean Davidson and Joe Armstrong are friends, and like old friends, even though they mentioned nothing of that in the third movie. Like, if they had said something about that in the third movie, like when Jackson met Sean Davidson, said, "Oh, you're Joe's friend," or something, okay, but they didn't. They just completely threw it in there out of nowhere. And then even the fact that this movie was built up with the fact that they had the hero from the third movie and the hero from the first two movies in the same movie together, yet Michael Dudikoff does not show up until 45 minutes into the movie, almost halfway through. And then the two of them have like very little scenes together, very little chemistry together. That one scene I showed you was the only time they talked to each other. So it really did feel forced and did not give you the impression at all that these two are actually friends. As a matter of fact, the story goes that David Bradley was really pushing for an American Ninja movie with both him and Michael Dudikoff, but also pushing that they should be a tandem. They should be like a team throughout the whole movie, fighting together, fighting alongside each other, being equals. But Michael Dudikoff only agreed to do this movie on the condition that his character, Joe Armstrong, would be the guy to come in and save David Bradley's character, Sean Davidson, thus cementing that Joe Armstrong is the superior ninja. And apparently David Bradley has always been bothered by that. So I would recommend that you guys check this movie out. It's pretty good. Not great, just pretty good. So there's my review of American Ninja 4. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And if you did, make sure to hit like. Hit subscribe. Hit that little bell so you get notifications for when I post new videos. Because American Ninja 5 is coming. And leave a comment. Tell me what you thought of American Ninja 4. Tell me which of the American Ninja movies is your favorite American Ninja. Love you guys.